Welcome back to Mac Tech. Just continuing my NetAcad series here for my skills project. Now, today, this is the second video. Still kind of covering the basics here. Today, what we're going to go over is the initial configuration for the network devices. Now, in this topology here, I have already configured the IP addresses of all the hosts. I don't really see the point in going through and recording me doing that. That would probably just be extremely boring. But just to show you one subnet and just kind of go over one. And this is what I did for every single host device. I went here, clicked on the device, went to IP configuration. Now I inserted the IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and I did that for IPv4 and IPv6. Now, the next video, I'm going to be covering addressing. That one's probably going to be a little longer than this one, as I'll kind of go into how I arrived at all of these addresses, and I'll go much deeper into that. But for now, this will suffice. So I basically replicated that for every VLAN, every subnet here you see. However, I have not addressed the network devices yet. I will dedicate that to the next video as well. However, I just do kind of want to explain here. So these subnets, right, they all are on separate networks divided by their subnet mask. So right now, this PC, for example, right here, this PC right here wouldn't be able to ping this PC because they are segmented logically. However, this PC will be able to ping all the devices that are within the same VLAN, even though there is zero configuration other than the default configuration here on this switch. There's no routing that needs to take place or anything like that. So the switch will just forward the frames based on the destination MAC address it sees here being sent. And I think I'll go over that a little more in the next video as well. But yeah, anyways, so what we're going to do now, I've already configured the devices down here. Just for the sake of brevity, what I'm going to do for these two corporate devices for the corporate office network is the same thing that I did for all the devices you see here below. So other than, of course, the host name, which I'm going to go over. So I'm going to take you guys over here to the initial switch configuration. And I'm just going to do this one live, and the next one I'm just going to copy and paste. But I'm going to go step by step and tell you what each of these commands mean. Okay. So here, this is what it's going to look like on the command prompt when there's no configuration at all, other than the default configuration. It's going to say switch, and we're going to be in user exec mode, which is indicated here by this this greater than symbol. So first things first, we're going to hit enable. I'm just going to type that in here. And this is going to take us to a privileged exec mode. In privileged exec, you're going to have a lot more ability to perform actions and add configuration onto the device. And from this prompt, from this privilege level, it's going to let us proceed even further to the configuration, the global configuration mode, which we're going to get to by typing in configure terminal. Okay, so switch config, and now we're ready to start adding our initial configuration commands. So first things first, we're going to do no IP domain lookup, because we're not going to be using DNS, at least not yet. I will make a video of that a little later, but at this point it doesn't help at all. So and then next we're going to add the host name for this device, which it says here IT switch. We're going to change that to corp dash corp dash switch. Actually, I'm gonna copy and paste these because I just fat finger everything. So what this does is it's gonna change this host name here from switch to instead be corporate switch. And boom, as you can see right here on the left hand side, it's went ahead and changed. Okay. Now next, we're gonna dive even deeper into the command line here. So as I said before, here we were in user exec mode. We went deeper into privileged exec mode. Went even deeper into global configuration mode. And now we're going to go to line configuration mode. So we'll paste that. And this is going to take us to the line. See where it says, see how it says config line here? Well, and what line console 0 is this is going to be the configuration commands that are associated with the serial connection. So if you needed to physically connect to a network device such as a switch or router from a laptop or a PC or something like this with a serial cable, this is going to be where you'd set the authentication information like we're about to do. And that's all this would affect. It wouldn't affect anything else. So we're just going to set the password here to be Cisco. Enter. And then we have to add this command, the login. This puts the password into effect, so that way, when it actually does come time to plug in the serial cable, this login command will ensure that the user is prompted. Okay. And then I missed a command here. The reason why I added exit is because exit is going to take us back to global configuration mode. And now I'm going to implement this command, enable secret Cisco. Now what this is going to do is basically when we log into this device at a later point after we do this configuration, this command will ensure that a user is prompted for a password when they enter the privileged exec mode, like we did up here. So whenever after they hit enable, they'll be prompted for a password, which in this case we've set to Cisco. And you want to use the secrets, the secret. I don't know what you call like parameter. I guess that's how you pronounce. Or what you say? You want to use this parameter because this password Cisco will be stored in the configuration file in an encrypted format, and that's just good for security. But this password is definitely not good. Like definitely not, use a longer password than this, more complex password. I just I don't really care if someone hacks my packet tracer lab here, so we're just gonna let it fly for simplicity's sake. That's done. Okay, next we are going to use this command, service password encryption. This command ensures that every password, including this one up here, that notice is not going to be encrypted because we didn't use secret. This command is going to ensure that any password we have saved in the running configuration on this switch is going to be encrypted. So go ahead and enter. Okay, next we're going to add a banner motd. Now, this is what a user is going to see when they first log on or establish connection with the network device. So in this case, the banner. This is the command portion here, and then this is what we are configuring the motd to be. So as you can see, it says stay out unless authorized. Violators will be tickled to death. Now, Usually, it's not gonna say something silly like that. Usually, it'll be a lot of legalese. But essentially, this is a legal forewarning. It's a no trespassing, if you will, statement before a user will log into a router. That way, if that user does take deleterious actions or violates the stipulations of what's stated in the motd, there's a lot higher chance of them being prosecuted. But I mean, for intents and purposes here, you're just gonna be tickled to death. So I mean, you can hack me, like I said earlier. I don't really care. Okay. Next, we're gonna, as part of the initial configuration, we're gonna configure SSH, and then the first part of that is going to be establishing a domain name to reference. In this case, I did mactech.com. I actually checked. This is a real website. So I mean, I don't know if it's legit or not. So I mean, don't take my word for it. I'm just doing that because it's the name of my channel. But I guess if you want to check it out, go ahead. But I'm not I'm not recommending anything. Okay. Next, we are going to do this funky command here. So okay, I'm going to break this one down a little bit. So crypto key generate. This is essentially creating the keys that we are going to use to unauthenticate or unlock or relock the key we're going to create. So in this case, we're using RSA, which is an asymmetric algorithm. And this command essentially creates the keys that are going to unlock the RSA algorithm. Now, I don't have an extensive knowledge on encryption and whatnot, or the public key infrastructure, but I do know RSA is a asymmetric public key infrastructure, which means there's a public and a private key, and essentially the keys, it's all breaks down to a mathematic formula where there is an extremely large prime number that is generated, and the keys that are generated here, the crypto key generate, essentially just creates the solutions to that problem that would be very very hard to find or calculate otherwise. That's what makes it secure. Now I'll probably go more into detail about it in another video. I mean, I probably have to study up on it again. I did kind of have a grasp of it when I took the Security Plus, but I must admit that was probably the most confusing part of it. So I would definitely need to brush up, but it's essentially what this is doing here. And I believe the modulus is the actual prime number that is generated, and the 1024 is just the number of bits. So yeah, I mean it's a huge number since the bits, like it's that many bits. However, this is still not recommended as like a viable amount in today's networks, just because the hackers out there they're extremely sophisticated, and I've read that you want to at least use a 2048 here. But this isn't really a security lab, so we're just gonna let it fly for now. Okay. Next, we're going to add username and secret, which is, remember, encrypted password is what that means. So I just chose MacTech MSP and managed service provider, secret MacTech. So that's what a user would be prompted with if they attempted to access the network device via SSH. They would need to provide these credentials in order to connect. Okay, just like we were in line console 0 earlier, we're going to go to line VTY 0 through 4. Now, the VTY lines are virtual terminal. Crap, I don't really remember what the Y means. But these are essentially the connections or interfaces that a user would access in order to reach the network device via SSH or Telnet. Okay, so these lines, the line console 0 and the interfaces, they're all going to need their own. They're all going to need their own configuration. So whatever I do to the line console 0 or the VTY lines is going to have nothing to do with the physical ports. Uh, but I would think that'd be pretty clear. Can I log in local? Just kind of like before when we were messing around with the line console 0. Log in local. This is going to basically require the username and password upon login. Just going to put that into effect. Now, next, we're going to implement this command, transport input SSH. So this will set the VTY lines 0 through 4 to only accept SSH traffic. In this case, Telnet would not be allowed unless we had specified, but we're not going to do that. Telnet generally is very unsecure, and there's no purpose to add it here. We could just do SSH. All right, lastly, we're going to use version 2 for our SSH on our VTY lines. Okay. And which brings us back here to the user, privilege exec mode. So we're just going to do a show run here real quick. It's going to show us our running configuration. Let's double check. Okay, I see there's a hash value here for my enable password, which is good. Another hash value for this password. Notice it says secret there. Okay, there's my banner motd saying stay out or I'll tickle you to death. And then, okay, see how this password here for line console 0 has a hash value? That's because we added the service password encryption command before. Okay, and here we go. There's our VTY 0 through 4 configuration. And we're looking good. Okay, we verified that our running configuration shows what we want it to show. So now what we would do is our running configuration basically is the current configuration on the device. Now, if I were to turn this device off or were to shut off randomly on its own due to a power outage or something like that, this would not be saved. So all of this is saved in RAM. RAM is wiped out upon the power going out. So what we need to do is we need to save this running configuration to our startup configuration. Now the startup configuration is saved onto memory called NVRAM, the NV standing for non-volatile. And when the running config is saved there, it's permanently saved until there's more changes made or unless specified at a later date. But for all intents and purposes, it's going to stay as it is. And the way we're going to do that through the configuration here is we're going to go copy, run, start. And this basically just means copy the run configuration to the startup configuration. And we're just going to hit enter here. And then now, if I were to reboot this device, it would have the same configuration as it does now here in the running configuration. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. And then here I'm just gonna. Okay, I already had the exit here already. Okay. Now I'm just gonna copy and paste for this one, just because there's no need to go over all those commands again. The only command that is different, actually, I will specify this, is the IP unicast or IPv6 unicast routing command. This command essentially just allows for IPv6 to be routed across it. But if you don't specify this command, the router is not going to recognize IPv6 traffic. Okay. Trying to copy all this. Oh wait, I have the wrong host name. People to death. Boom. Okay. So I always have to go whenever I paste in a series of commands. I always have to go and check to make sure that they all successfully went through. Okay, same thing here. I'm going to run show run command. Check to make sure my passwords are encrypted and okay. SSH, tickle to death, good. Alright, copy, start. Okay, so that completes the initial configuration for all of our network devices. So, for instance, let me go to the switch I configured earlier. So now that I have ran all those commands that I showed you before on this device, look what happens. Okay, see, I'm prompted to set a password here, and then you also see my banner motd. Stay out, and this is what I was talking about. That way, if a criminal is at the screen and they proceed, then they're gonna, they have no deniability at all. But yeah, so we're prompted to go to set a password or put in our password to authenticate us to get into the user exec mode, which I put the password in Cisco, and then if I do enable to get to privilege exec mode, it's going to prompt me again. I'll just put in Cisco, and then here I am. Okay, I hope that was informative, and wow, I went a lot longer than I thought I was going to. So if you're still with me on this, wow, like kudos to you. I'm going to try to keep it shorter next time. Thank you for watching, and hope you have a great day.